Good morning, everybody. Hope you're doing fantastically well. It is Connor here, and we are back with the Rumour Mill. Guys, thank you for your continued support. It's absolutely unbelievable. You're still getting so many views on my videos. I really appreciate it, and I hope you're enjoying the content. We're going to, as I keep saying, try bring different things, innovative things, creative things. I don't just want to be doing the same stuff every single day, so I'm going to try my absolute best with the time I've got, which is not that much. With the time I've got, try and think of other things, and that can be done in the Patreon account as well, guys. Click the link in the description below. There's going to be a few different things on there that I wouldn't put on the main channel, including big opposition previews, so make sure you check that out as well. We're up for the Football Content Awards, which is, I think, the announcement's on the 14th of October, guys, so get your votes in. Link in the description below. Also, loads of you keep going on about watch-alongs. You all want to see me do a watch-along, this, that and the other. Well, big news this weekend. It's been in the works for a while now. It really has. I've not been able to do it, I think, twice now. But this time he's got me on. Don Robbie, who's been on the Leeds Fan Channel multiple times. Top guy. I've spoken to the Don for about a year now. He's got me on the watch-along, so I will be featuring on the Liverpool versus Leeds watch along this weekend, so make sure you check that out on the Don Robbie YouTube channel. As I said, I've had to pay him off twice because I'm just that big time. It was COVID last time. I just couldn't do it. So yeah, listen, go check that out at the weekend. 4:30 on Sunday, I'll be on that show, so you'll see all my funny reactions to Dan James scoring the winner. But anyway, let's get into it, shall we? What's going on today? What is going on today? Well, apparently Leeds' wage bill is going to be in excess of £100 million this season, which is absolutely huge. And this is obviously due to the vast outlay of talent in the summer 2020 window. As more, really, if you look at it, big money deals came in for Leeds United. RAPHINHA, Diego Llorente and club record signing Rodrigo were among those who came in at a huge cost last year, while this year you look at Dan James and Junior Firpo, coming in really with lucrative contract offers from Manchester United and Barcelona. I mean, you can't actually imagine, can you, how much Daniel James is being paid? But then you look at Junior Firpo and you forget, we got him from Barcelona. That's going to be a huge hike in Leeds United's wages. And obviously you forget about the 5-year contract that Leeds handed Patrick Bamford. And I think it's the obvious ambition that Radrizzani has to get into the top six, isn't it? It's spending that level of money every single year and having your accounts sort of not in the negative as such, but when you're talking about net spend, it's a lot, isn't it? It's a lot of money that Leeds are paying out. Our wage bill was 47 million for the year ending June 2019 compared to the 31 million for the previous season. And now, apparently, according to sources, it is now more than tripled in a couple of years. And this is only going to increase if Leeds get into the remain in the top flight, of course, and that's why it's imperative. Leeds United just have to remain in the Premier League because, you look at the amount of money we've spent on contracts, on stadium renewals, it looks like, with propositions coming up, on training ground improvements, and obviously player improvements in terms of transfers coming in, and it's absolutely huge. It's going to be a massive 12 months for Leeds United, and this is why performances really, and that 3 points, the pressure is going to become heavy. If Leeds don't get anything out of Liverpool, then don't get anything out of Newcastle. But I'm not saying that. But I'm just saying Leeds United need to get this win under the belt. Arsene Wenger believes that there should be a World Cup every 2 years, and Andrea Radrizzani has joined Manchester City in rejecting these proposals. UEFA and the European Club Association have hit out at plans as well, accusing of FIFA of keeping them in the dark of any proposals. And this is obviously being headed up by ex-Arsenal boss Arsene Wenger, who is head of FIFA's football growth development program. So yeah, it's going to be fascinating to see what happens. But from a personal perspective and looking at a Leeds United point of view, why on earth would we want more competitions? Why on earth would we want a World Cup every 2 years? We don't know what the implications are going to be for the European Championships, but we don't need more games. The seasons are always getting longer, they're getting more intense. As I've said, the international breaks are becoming more frequent. We've seen that over the past couple of years. We do not want any more, and especially when you look at Leeds, if Leeds are going to have Bielsa at the top of the tree at this club for however many more years, the squad is going to be small. It's going to be a thin squad, and we've already got, if we're looking and we're vying for European success and all this sort of stuff, and we're getting in these competitions, it's going to be us playing potentially twice a week, and then you've obviously got cup competitions as well, and then you've got the World Cup as well, amongst other competitions. It's going to be absolutely unbelievable. Soriano, the chief executive at Manchester City, has said there is no space for anything else. There is no room at all. The players cannot play more games, that's for sure, and that's Manchester City with about 4 players in every single position. Think about how that is going to impact Leeds United. It's going to be absolutely astronomical. So we do not want that. We do not want more games. And it really is sad to see football going this way, just in terms of just trying to absolutely scrimp and scrape any sort of monetary value from the game. And that's all the World Cup is, really. You know, when you take it back and look at it from an objective perspective, and the money in it is going to be absolutely huge. You got the venues are going to be everywhere as well. Obviously, we've seen Qatar. There are going to be more venues in sort of that region, and it's going to be very difficult for football fans to be able to go watch the team as well. But I think it's going to be, it's going to be getting worse before it's going to be getting better. But we definitely want to be rejecting these proposals. Gabby Agbonlahor, everyone. We've spoken already about Danny Mills, and Gabby Agbonlahor's on that list. Jamie O'Hara's also on that list. Well, actually, we'll speak about Jamie O'Hara first. Jamie O'Hara's come out and said that Patrick Bamford shouldn't be anywhere near that England squad. Now, it was a really good sort of debate between him and Ali McCoist. Basically, Sally McCoist was there, and he's a closet Leeds fan, but Ali McCoist was essentially saying that England, if you've done well, then you should be in the England squad. That's what Gareth has brought. You know, you look at the likes of Jesse Lingard, you look at the likes of Danny Ings, and all these players who've had caps and all this sort of stuff, and really developed under Gareth Southgate in terms of being given the chance and being able to get better in that England setup and be able to get a cohesive nature with squad members around them. And Jamie O'Hara doesn't think that. There's an argument for Greenwood. I understand that, being in the England squad over Patrick Bamford, and that is probably, well, it is going to be the long-term view, isn't it? The argument is Patrick Bamford going to get in the World Cup squad? Probably not, in my personal opinion. I don't think that's going to happen. I think there are going to be players back, players ahead of him, players younger who are ahead of him. DCL, obviously Greenwood, but is Danny Ings going to be in the World Cup squad? He's not, and that's probably the comparative really to Patrick Bamford. And I think what they're missing out on, these pundits and these ex-football players, is the fact that what Gareth has brought into this England squad is a meritocracy. At the start, these exact same pundits were saying Calvin Phillips shouldn't be anywhere near, and now they're saying he's absolutely integral to this Leeds United side. It's a flip-flop effect. It's a fickle effect. And I know in football we change our opinions, but to stay talking about Patrick Bamford, which these pundits have been doing for the best part of 3 or 4 years now, and really writing him off and not saying that they're wrong and coming back and correcting what they've said and just stating the exact same things as they were stating 4 years ago, it's a bit difficult to hear, but football is a meritocracy, and if you prove yourself, you are more than willing to get that shot, and that's what I respect about Gareth Southgate. He's given 2 Leeds players a huge chance. But Gabby Agbonlahor has also came out and said that it's only a matter of time until Leeds United sells star midfielder Calvin Phillips. It's a really generic, boring comment of Gabby to make, really, just to get just to get clicks. But overall, what do you guys think? Do you think that is the process? You look at Leicester. Radrizzani's based was on Leicester. He said Wolves initially, but then he bases on the Midlands club. You look at their development, obviously getting through the recruitment stages, that they've unbelievably got so many quality players in. Tielemans is the recent one that stands out. But in general, they've had to sell Maguire, Kante, Mahrez. And as a progression of a club, I think Leeds are going to have to do that at some point. Are you really, really confident in saying that Calvin Phillips will be at Leeds in 5 years' time? I'm not agreeing with Gabby Agbonlahor, guys, before you shoot me. It's an interesting topic of conversation. Will Rafinha's not Leeds born, so I doubt it. I really do doubt it, but we're going to get onto him in a little bit. But it's fascinating with Calvin Phillips being around the England squad. Will he have the Jack Grealish effect of leaving his boyhood club in however many years' time? I think he'll give Leeds maybe a year or 2, but then you've got to think about his age as well. Are people going to be paying upwards of 80 million, which is what we're talking about for Calvin Phillips right now when he's 27? They're probably not, but then will Leeds, by the time he's 27, have got 2 more incredible years out of him? So it's going to be fascinating to see what happens to Phillips, because he's just going to get better and better on the international stage. So let me know what you think in the comment section below. It's a really interesting talking point. Gary Neville has come out and spoken about Daniel James. Now, Daniel James said yesterday about his time at Manchester United, when I stepped back, it was remembering to be direct, to be that person. Safe is dangerous in the position I play. You're not there to do that. You're there to score goals and make assists and run yourself into the ground on and off the ball. He was talking about problems in his game at Manchester United. Now, I would always argue the case with Dan James that he always ran himself into the ground, hence why Leeds have gone in for him. Dominic Booth at the MEN, who was on the blue, white and yellow, essentially turned around to me and said that he's a defensive midfielder by how good he is in recovering the ball and getting back and helping the team. And I think any Man United fan would say that as well. But it's interesting to say that he was based in possession. He was all a part of the build-up. That's what it got to. When he started at Manchester United, he was raw and direct. But then as he progressed. And this doesn't help with two players sitting in a pivot in Manchester United's midfield and then being overly defensive. Leeds United are not going to be that way. And hopefully he's had the shackles released off, or he will have the shackles released off him at Leeds United, and you feel that he's going to be more direct. And that would have been a huge decision for Dan James to come to Leeds. Yeah, we can talk about the emotional side of it, the romantic side of it, of him wanting to come back. And, you know, he's born in Hull, and I believe his dad was a Leeds fan and all this sort of stuff. But when you look at it in terms of tactics and his development as a football player, it's going to aid his game hugely. There's going to be a lot of space for him to run into in and behind. And Dan James is going to cause a lot of opposition teams. You know, if he was playing against Liverpool this weekend, Liverpool would really have to target Dan James. You know, leaving space in and behind, which Liverpool do because of the high line, would be a huge problem. So teams are going to have to adapt to how Leeds play and use Daniel James. So it's interesting to see how he really struggled at Manchester United, and he adapted his game, which didn't aid his game, and that's a huge problem. That's great because that means he won't do that at Leeds United. Listen, RAPHINHA turned down the option to go to Brazil, which is amazing to hear. Apparently, Radrizzani was at a convention. He was at a BBC Sport convention, I believe, or he was at an Italian convention, and he was essentially... You know, Liverpool are going to have to really, if you know Dan James is starting, Liverpool are going to have to really defend against that prospect because he's such a weapon because of their high line. And this is the problem that Dan James is going to cause opposition managers and opposition teams. It's the thought process. It's having that pace in and behind, and it's knowing that Leeds are going to aid him and not hinder him like it looked like he was at Manchester United, being part of the build-up and the process and not just the counter-attacking, the direct nature of his football, which is great to hear. 6 Premier League sides, including Leeds United, refused to release their Brazilians for the latest round of FIFA World Cup qualifiers in South America, as we know. Due to Brazil's status on the United Kingdom's COVID travel red list, players would have to be required to quarantine for 10 days in a government-approved hotel on returning to their clubs. So that's why every single club took a stance against releasing their Brazilian players, you know, including Manchester City, Liverpool, etc., Leeds. They did not want to let their obviously Brazilian players go because then it would absolutely massively hinder the next 2 or 3 games, really. The problem is with this blanket stance that the clubs have now gone on, aka with Leeds and RAPHINHA, the problem is now going to be that they face a potential sanction from FIFA of 5 days out. You know, this would also mean with Liverpool, you got the likes of Alisson, Fabinho and Firmino out of the Liverpool-Leeds game, but it would also mean that RAPHINHA is out of the same game, which would be a huge problem for Leeds United. The issue is we have no idea when FIFA are going to sanction this, and this is why FIFA are a bunch of joke men. We have no idea. They could sanction this the day before the game, which is huge. It's massive on preparation, and this is why it's really frustrating at this moment in time because we don't know. But what Radrizzani has said at this convention that he's been quoted as being at, we don't think there should be sanctions because if a player has to be quarantined, he is unavailable to immediately play for the club again. But what was really eye-opening is the fact that apparently RAPHINHA didn't want to go. It's his first cap for Brazil and he didn't want to go. He wants to stay at Leeds. He wants to develop at Thorpe Arch and really prove himself and be within this environment. How amazing is that to hear? You'd think if he was just coming here and looking to move on, which I think we're all a little bit worried about, I am, he would just be going to Brazil and trying to prove himself. I get the Richarlison feels of that, you know, him coming out on Instagram and whinging about it. Raphinha's not done that. Raphinha's also been quoted earlier on as saying that he loves the fans, he loves being here, he wants to stay here for a while, he loves the place. How amazing is that to hear as a Leeds United fan? So I'm absolutely buzzing about that. Some really positive news this morning, guys. I hope you've enjoyed it. Let me know what you think in the comment section below as well. The Blue, White and Yellow podcast is out today with a special sports brand writer and Leeds fan at the Daily Mirror, Sam Mead. Go check it out. The link will be in the description below, guys. And I'll see you in a bit.